turning our attention to Big Ten football. And as a matter of fact, I was looking at something on the Athletic from Jesse Temple about Illinois. Brett Bielema. And this will be his third season, correct? I think
second.
Third season. Second. Just his second season. Mm-hmm. Usually it seems the other way, but wow, it seems like he's been there 3 years already. But he seemed to make strides last year. It looked like it at times. You kind of couldn't tell it because it looked like it. Then I'm like, I don't know. They would lose to nobody. They'd beat somebody. It's like, But that's usually what is happening when things are happening.
Yeah.
When you see that kind of back and forth, that's there's usually stuff happening behind the scenes. It's just getting in sync. That's Indiana's first opponent, man. And that's going to be an extraordinarily difficult challenge because they play Illinois the week before playing Indiana. Wyoming.
Wyoming.
They play Wyoming. Illinois plays Wyoming the week before they play Indiana. So not only does Indiana have to open with a conference opponent, they open with a conference opponent who plays in week 0.
Yep. That does make it more difficult. And
see, to me, that's BS. That's BS. The Big Ten has really stuck it to Indiana in a situation like that. I don't care that it's a home game. It's the opening game, man, and it's against a conference rival, and you give them a game to warm up. The difference between, and you having written about football at all sorts, though, no, and it doesn't matter what level, the difference between having that first game in, one game, and that second game, where do coaches talk about so much? The difference between those first 2 games
is huge.
It is gigantic, and that's going to be a disadvantage. I'm not saying it's something they can't overcome. Who knows? But it just makes it all the more difficult. And the Big Ten has really screwed Indy. You don't hear me complain a lot about stuff like this, but the Big Ten has screwed Indiana in their football schedule. I think this is already the 3rd time in the last 5 seasons they have opened up with a conference opponent. Last season, it was Iowa.
Yep.
That was the first time Iowa had opened up with a conference opponent since 1979. And it was Indiana.
And then, obviously 2020 was different, but they obviously opened with Penn State. So there was that. I don't know about before that. 2017 was Ohio State? Is that was that the year? 2017 or
16? I think it was 16.
2016.
Played them well for 3 quarters. Great on. They got to open on. Had game day here.
Yep.
Great environment. But sad ending to that. But yeah, that's going to be a challenge. Without question. And yikes.
Well, the bigger thing is you talked about the inconsistency. Illinois kind of all season, or at least through the first half of the season, was kind of 1 step forward, 2 steps back. But the one thing that they got better at was offensive and defensive line play and the ability to run the football. And that's been Indiana's Achilles heel. Even at times when they were playing really well, they've struggled on the offensive line and they've struggled to run the football. So you're playing a team that's why Illinois was able to go on the road and beat not Wisconsin. They were able to beat Penn State and Minnesota because they run the football well. They play really good defense too. They had some dudes on defense. They'll have some of those guys back, but that's going to be a huge test because the one thing that Indiana has not been able to do is get consistency in the run game. And if they're not able to do it this year, it's going to be another long season. And you're going to have a pretty good test. Now, I know you just look at the jersey and you see Illinois. You're not thinking that's going to be too intimidating of a test. But if you suck on the offensive line against Illinois, that's going to be a problem because they will. Brett Bielema, that's how he won multiple Big Ten championships up at Wisconsin. That's why Wisconsin was always And I know a lot of that had to do with Barry Alvarez and the foundation that was set, but he knows what he's doing. So they've got to get better in a hurry up front. They've got to be able to run the football in that game. If they can't and they get off to an 0-1 start, bye-bye bowl hopes.
Did you say what was Indiana's biggest issue last year?
Running the football?
No, blocking people.
Well, that those two go hand in hand.
Yeah, they. I don't see it getting better. That's the problem. I can imagine everything else getting better. Basilak, quarterback, new coordinator. I can see. I don't know how the offensive line is going to magically get better.
I don't either.
I think that the OC is going to have to potentially work around that. And if you start to see a lot of rollouts and things of that nature, that's why.